Okay.
Yes, dear ones, and you went deeper than you know, and yet you have received your gift. You have received a gift from the elements that is right for you at this time, and we do encourage you to return to that meditation from time to time. And do not be surprised if it is entirely different each time. All right, and we do have some time for questions if there's anyone who has a question. John, perhaps you can unmute everyone.
Okay, everyone.
Yes, dear ones, I'd like to begin.
Hi, this is Kathy.
Yes, dear one.
My question is that, once at a Lazarus conference a while back, after some work, Lazarus said that based on the work that we were doing and the raising of our resonance, that we were no longer susceptible to certain viruses that would be around or whatever. I don't know if he was talking about the flu, but so my question is, will a high resonance help to prevent somebody from getting COVID-19, or is that based on a belief system, or both?
Well, it's really the same, isn't it? In a high resonance, what are your beliefs? Your beliefs are that I create my own reality, or I can be responsible for anything that occurs in my reality. I can have the ability to respond. And in that resonance of I create my own reality through consciously creating and through allowing, if something comes along that is some sort of perceived threat, there is going to be an automatic unconscious response, isn't there? And so you will be invited to do what you know to do to get well, whether it is to go within, to meditate, to run energies, to work with your crystals, to change your nutrition, to create some distance from other people for a time while you restore yourself. That is all very natural, isn't it? If you are in a high resonance where you feel good all the time, are you likely to become ill? Not necessarily. You may have people who are ill around you, but you may not create it for yourself. But if you do, the key is not to judge yourself for it, but rather to respond. Does that make sense?
Kathy?
I guess that what I was thinking was so there's no immunity then.
Well, there is. Your beliefs are your greatest protection.
Okay.
However, let's confront the reality of I have a physical illusion that has COVID-19 in it. Whose reality is it?
Mine.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you say, well, that's not mine, then you have no access to changing it. But as you take responsibility, even the smallest amount, and say, okay, yes, that's part of my reality creation. I may not like it. I may not be happy about that component of my reality, but I'll own that I allowed it on some level, and I'll look for the treasures. I'll look for the good that can come out of it. And I'll direct my energy to program for the best possible outcome for everyone involved. Meaning, not to have it linger for an inordinately long time, not to have it be millions of people dying. Even the thousands have sort of shocked everyone, haven't they? Even though those numbers are not unusual for a normal flu.
Yes.
But have you ever had access to the amount of information that is coming to you about the disease, about the situation, about the people who are vulnerable? There's a freedom of information flowing between people, between experts, between government, between countries that has never been in any other arena. Would you agree?
Yes.
Particularly around an illness. So in the 70s and 80s, when AIDS was a risk, how much were you exposed to what was the government doing, or what was the Center for Disease Control doing? Many of you had no clue, and it was just bad luck, so to speak, if you knew somebody who got AIDS. It was a tragedy. And it was a tragedy that everybody felt hopeless about because you didn't have information, did you?
No.
It was all kept very mysterious and under wraps and hidden so that nobody would know. Now, did that keep it from happening? Did that keep it under control?
I don't think so.
Interesting to look back at the numbers to see how bad was it. Now you have this opportunity for there to be a precedent for greater levels of information, more freedom of information. Because with information, you have more choice, don't you?
Yes.
And with more choice, you have more power. You are empowered. You can choose to follow the protocols. You can participate in the decision making of, well, what is the correct way to go? Is it better to participate in the activities that say, okay, well, maybe I don't need to go out in public as much. And when I do, perhaps I'm going to be more conscientious of my interactions. Maybe I'm going to be more in my body and pay attention to the people around me. So when you think about several months ago, some of you, how conscious were you? You would jump out of the car, you'd race in the store, you'd go grab your groceries, and you get in line. And if it took too long, you got frustrated and you try to hurry things up energetically and get that person in front of you through the line faster. And then you get in your car and you jump home and make dinner real quick and watch some TV and then go to bed. And if we said, well, so how was your day? That part of your day was just sort of deleted, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was empty and meaningless to you.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to the store, you are much more conscious, aren't you?
Yes.
Much more present to who am I being, who's around me, how much distance do I have between the people? Am I being relaxed? Am I being patient? Am I being considerate? And so isn't it interesting that you are being caused to be more conscious
Mm-hmm.
in your environment? And that is a gift, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, that doesn't mean you won't be unconscious somewhere else. Perhaps now you're in too many webinars and you're thinking, oh, another webinar. I think I'll just zone and not pay attention. And that's valid. You can't be 100% on all the time, but you are being invited to be much more conscious of impact in all arenas at all times. And so as you let that in as, oh, this is an opportunity, and I still have choice. It's my reality. How do I want this to go? What could be the beauty? What could be the wonder? What could be the joy that comes out of this? And certainly so, those of you who enjoy being at home, you have a lovely place, a beautiful garden. You don't actually like to have to be in the world too much. You are spiritually minded. Your activities are spiritually oriented. And now you're given permission. Oh, if I want to do my business from home, I actually can. I can use my computer in new ways. I can use my cell phone. I can organize a meeting like today as though we're all sitting in a living room chatting. And suddenly your world got smaller. It got more intimate. And more people are participating. More people are comfortable participating. Sure, they may still get frustrated with the technology if they can't get in the Zoom meeting right away, or if they lost track of the invitation, they can't find the password and that sort of thing. But all of that is getting worked out. As this becomes more of a norm, it will be easier, where you'll just touch a button and you'll be in the room. It will become easier. The companies that are hosting these meetings are intent on making it as wonderful as possible, so you keep using their technology. And it's becoming normal for you. Oh, I just click on the link and there I am. So did we answer the question, or did we ramble?
No, thank you. You answered the question.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Certainly so. We love you so. And so who is next?
You'll have to unmute yourself.
I will tell you, the healing we had today, Tara, was just so profound. It really touched me so deeply. And just to make it very brief, it's when I was a young kid in my teens, I was kind of a rough customer, and 7 guys that were a year older than me attacked me, and I panicked and I didn't know what to do. And so I got pretty badly hurt. And Tara, correct me if I'm wrong, but that placed inside of me a belief that being exposed is dangerous.
Absolutely.
And we cleared it today.
It came earlier than that, but that was a critical moment. Absolutely. That cemented the belief. You already had it at work, but you made a fundamental decision in that moment. And so go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, this looks to me like it's going to change my futures and my actions into the future. It's very, very powerful.
Wonderful.
And I'm very grateful for it, Tara. Thank you.
Certainly so. We love you so. And know that it is working, continuing to work in each of you in your dreams tonight. That energy, that element that is yours. They are all yours, of course, but there's one that is more yours than others today, because it is right for you to work with it. And the unconscious knows the meaning of each of those elements. The unconscious is aligning you in new ways, empowering you and imbuing you with a greater depth, a strength that comes from each of those elements. And for those of you who work with the archangels, certainly so, there is an archangel that is representative of one of those elements for you. And so if you are more comfortable working with the angelic realm, then to just call upon that archangel to be with you, to nurture you, to talk with you, to enfold you in a way that you know that you are completely safe. And for you, Francis, to take your adolescent before the attack, to meet him,
Yes.
and to introduce him to the archangel, and to allow that archangel to carry him away or to fight with him or to do something that changes the outcome. Because in his reality, he does have that freedom. He doesn't have to stay in that event.
Was the archangel involved in my healing today? Was it Michael or was it a different archangel?
What was your element?
My element? I think my element typically is wind.
Yes. And so that would be Raphael.
Yeah.
But if Michael came, then your element is fire for today.
Oh, you mean
On the beach.
yeah. I just know Michael's a protector, and I just thought it might have been he, but
Yes, well, which
you know,
which environment did you find yourself in the meditation? Do you remember?
I don't.
All right, well, allow Michael to be the archangel and know that fire is the right energy for you at this time. And you can repeat the meditation to reconnect and see if Michael shows up.
Yes, I will.
And so the flame, the fire, is about imagination. Imagination is similar, but not the same as inspiration. The air element is inspiration. And imagination does come from your passion, does come from that fire within. And your inspiration from the air comes from your thoughts, comes from your genius. And so to play with those, to see, which one? Now, you will have different ones at different times. And so we do encourage you to repeat the meditation, as we said, because there are treasures there for you. And as each of you are wanting to work at a greater depth, your unconscious mind is ready and willing to work with you in a loving way, with your higher self guiding you to activate those energies within you. And then to spend some time in the next few days to look for evidence. Well, what is different? What changed? What am I noticing in my world? And there will be an elegance and an ease in what you find. Wonderful. And so we thank you, Francis. And so who is next? And how much time is left?
It's 1:45.
All right. And so we do have more time. Is there anyone else who would like to ask a question?
I would like to ask a question.
Yes, Richard. Please proceed.
You talked about technology and information. And Lazarus's information is before formation. And is formation choices then?
Are you asking, is formation or information choices?
Well, that is called information is before forming. The in is for before. So before formation, is that choices?
Well, the choices, beliefs, and decisions, absolutely, the attitudes, all of that makes up what aligns within you to create a belief. So if you recall in the energy, the stepping down of the energies, belief precedes physical reality. And form is part of the physical, isn't it?
Right.
And so as you look to see, well, what does it take to create a belief? What does it take to manifest something? And within yourself, of course, you are also, through your actions, through your decisions, through your choices, you are creating a belief about yourself. And then that is referred to as an image, isn't it? But think about, what is an image? An image is a picture. None of these words are accidental, by the way. You choose them very specifically, and that is why Lazar spent so many years talking you through, what do these things mean and how do you work with them? So image comes from imagination. Certainly so. And so how do you imagine yourself to be? You get to choose. But what does it take to make a choice? Well, you have to know your possibilities. Well, how do you know your possibilities? Well, you have to look around, you have to see, you have to evaluate, but you also have to imagine them first, don't you?
Yes.
They don't just, you don't know, you don't recognize something unless you've thought of it beforehand or you imagined it, pictured it in your mind. Then you go out in your world and you have an experience and then you go, aha, I remember that. That's familiar to me. So there is this process of remembering as well. There's the original thought, then there's the remembering, and then there's this experience that you have where you, somewhere along the way, the thread is choice, isn't it? Or the fulcrum is choice. And with the choice, you decide, okay, I'm not just going to keep it in the imaginal realm where I play around with it and try on different versions of it. At some point, you decide, okay, I like that one. Let's manifest it. And so then you start looking for it in your world. Sometimes you just allow it to come to you. You receive it. And other times you go make it happen. It just depends on your personality. It depends on your will. It depends on how quickly you want it. But once you have it in your mind that you can create it, it's much easier to do so, isn't it?
Right.
And so you're instructed by many teachers, well, write an affirmation about it. Act as if it is already so, and it will surely happen. Now, it may not be in exactly the form that you dream up, because some of you have more access to imagery than others. Some of you have more access to feeling or thoughts. And those can be not as precise. The visual imagery is the strongest as far as translating to form. It's the closest to form. The emotions and the thoughts are more broad range, perhaps, apply to a greater range of possible outcomes. And that works for those of you who don't like to be too specific because you don't want to miss out. But allow yourself, as you have the feeling, okay, this is the feeling I want to have when I'm in the reality. These are the thoughts that creates within me. Now I can free myself up to begin to imagine, what would it be like, me in the future, of having this that I say I want? And you can try it on. It's almost like, well, when you were a kid, you would have played with toys. You would have played, if you were a girl, maybe you had a favorite doll and a doll house, and you knew exactly how to place everything, the furniture, the what the doll wore. If you were a boy, maybe you had dolls, maybe you had a GI Joe, maybe you just had Tonka trucks or a train set or something, or a model airplane or something. The older you got, the more detailed your toys were. And then, of course, in this day and age, the detail comes in the form of a very detailed video game. You skip the dolls and the GI Joes and the trains and everything, and you just jump straight into, well, how do I make this thing work with a stick shift or a controller, as they call it, or a Game Boy with little buttons and pictures on the screen, and if you did this, it made it do this, and if you did that, it made it do others, and if you opened up to new levels, then wow, you got a whole new world. And so you can see how the children who were exposed to the video games got a instant access to activating imagination. And those of you who are older are saying, wow, I wish I had that.
Yes.
Well, you had other ways to activate your imagination. Many of you got involved in meditation for that reason, because you felt compelled to exercise that muscle of meditation, of activating your imagination, of aligning the energies, of exploring the emotions and all of that. By the time the children today are born, that work has already been done by all of you. They're ready to play. Now they're going to bring in other things. They're going to bring in more complex concepts that you're thinking, well, do I even want to work at that? Well, allow them to do the work and you'll just follow along and walk in their path. And that will be fun for you because you understand, oh, okay, everybody has their role and everyone benefits. So you don't have to be an expert at technology, because someone who was born in the last 20 years is going to figure out how to make it easy for you too.
That's good.
And yes, we were listening to your conversation, Kathy, about technology. And isn't that a relief to know someone's making that map for you?
Yes, it is.
And so the form, certainly so. Does choice have a place? Absolutely. It's a fulcrum. But there's a lot that happens before the choice can be made. But once the choice is made, the form follows very quickly. And so if there's something you've been wanting to manifest and you're having trouble with it, sit down with yourself and say, did I choose what I really want? Did I actually choose it? A lot of times you'll find I didn't actually choose it because I'm not sure. I'm not so sure of who I will be in that version of reality. Because image is a big part of it, isn't it? If you can imagine yourself having it, having the experience, or having the thing in your reality, if you can imagine it, then, oh, okay, the emotions catch up and say, okay, I'm comfortable now. And absolutely, when you were younger, it was not as much of an issue. Because you might say, well, I didn't know what could go wrong, and so I just went forward. Now that you're older, you're thinking, oh, a lot could go wrong. Do I really want that? Well, we would suggest that maybe it's time to just let go of some of the fears and say, well, to heck with it. I'm going to try it anyway.
Wow.
I trust my higher self to catch me. And you'll find yourself saying that more and more in the years to come, because the new world is brand new. We are not talking about a linear change. The new world of dominion is a different world. You're already seeing in a few months how different your world can be by one input, a virus, a modulator. And so much change is possible. And it doesn't have to be a bad change. It doesn't have to be a virus. It can be something else that acts as that modulator. And so as you keep dreaming the reality of for the greater good with harm to none, more change can be effected. This is an opportunity for change exponentially to occur with harm to none, with elegance and ease. You can shift yourself, catapult yourself into that new world. It is happening.
Thank you.
And one of the qualities of the new world is I choose. That will be one of the phrases you will remember, Richard. For you, it will be a touchstone. Oh, I choose. That's my fulcrum. That's what brings you back to center. And so for many of you, it will be so. Not everyone, but many of you. For some of you, it will just be you imagining yourself in the reality the way you want it to be. And your visual skill takes you there so efficiently, and the rest of you catches up eventually. And you can allow that change to come more quickly. You can allow your emotions and your thoughts to catch up, to align with that image of what you want. And as each of you program for what you want with harm to none, with elegance and ease, it does make a difference. The universe then knows, oh, we can discard all these negative versions of reality. They don't want that. Your subconscious aligns you with only those probabilities that fit with harm to none, with elegance, with ease. And you can add your own more phrases to that, to fine tune, to direct the subconscious. For it's no secret that you are in charge. You are the last to know. Wonderful. All right then. And so we do feel this is a good time to bring it to a close. And we do love each and every one of you, certainly so, and appreciate your presence this evening and in the days to come. Each time you listen in the future, know that we are with you in the real time that you are in.